Good morning, Woodbridge. I am Gavin Renier, and I will be bringing you some very interesting stories from the areas of Australia, New Zealand, and Kazakhstan on Woodbridge Student News. Now, before we continue on with the current events, a little background information. For example, in all three countries, the local languages, well, besides the local languages, the most common language is actually English. From there, in Australia, for example, the most common religion is actually not specified. 25.8% of Australians do mark Roman Catholic on their census forms. Kazakhstan is Islam, and now we move to Australia, where our reporter Jordan Briganti has been digging up a very interesting story about the Australian Parliament. What have you got, Jordan?
Thanks, Gavin. I'm Jordan Briganti, and I'm going to be discussing about how an Australian MP was caught smuggling a fake pipe bomb and sticks of dynamite into the Parliament. On Monday, May 26, 2014, an Australian MP, Bill Heffernan, decided to sneak a fake pipe bomb and sticks of dynamite into Australia's Parliament. Heffernan snuck these in order to draw attention to the lack of security in the premises. During a parliamentary meeting for new screening measures, the politician showed these items and then stated that the building is no longer secured. Heffernan then mentioned that the explosives he could have snuck in could blow trees the size of this building out of the ground. There is nothing to stop anyone from bringing these ingredients in here over a period of time, he then stated. This caught the attention of the head of the Australian Federal Police, that there was a major risk that someone could sneak in these makeshift pipe bombs. And now I have a video to show you on why Bill Heffernan brought in said items.
And up until this point, most people working in this building know that it's safe. I don't think it any longer is. And to demonstrate that, this morning I brought in what could be, I brought this through security. A pipe bomb. I also brought in, when I was a kid, we used to blow stumps out on the farm 50 years ago. We'd get some nitropryl, a quart of distillate, a plug of jelly and a detonator, light the bloody thing and go to buggery. We could blow a tree the size of this building out of the ground. At the present time, there's nothing to stop anyone from bringing those ingredients in here over a period of time through security. Would you agree?
Well, Senator, under the current arrangements, that is a risk, yes.
Thank you, Jordan. That story sounds explosive. Now we move southeast to the island of New Zealand, where our reporter Michael Badill has been digging up something a little bit hot.
Thanks,
Michael?
Gavin. I'm Michael Badill, and I'll be talking about the volcanic ash cloud that spreads and hits Australia. Today, flights across northern Australia could be affected for days as a vast ash cloud spews from an Indonesian volcano. A volcano off the Indonesian island of Sumbawa has erupted at least 3 times since Friday afternoon. Flights to and from Darwin International Airport have been cancelled on Saturday as the ash cloud spreads across the top and towards Alice Springs. The ash cloud is between 6 kilometers and 13 kilometers in the atmosphere, sweeping the southwest over northern Australia. Depending on winds and other conditions, the ash has the potential to affect flights and to and from other airports, including Brisbane, during the coming days. People and passengers are advised to check with their airlines for further information. Air Services Australia has begun diverting international flights around the ash cloud. Fine particles of pulverized rock consisting mainly of silica contained in the volcanic ash cloud can be highly abrasive and damage aircraft engines, structures, and windows. It's continuing to disperse, but it's moving rapidly at 70 to 80 knots, which is about 130 to 150 kilometers per hour. It's said that it could be hazardous to aircraft, but the decision whether or not to fly is a safety and economic decision that rests with the individual airlines.
Thanks, Michael. Make sure to keep your head out of those clouds. Next, we move to Kazakhstan, where I mentioned earlier, where our reporter Crystal Carrera has some interesting information about a rather interesting pact as well. Crystal?
Thanks, Gavin. The presidents of Russia, Kazakhstan, and Belarus formally signed an agreement on Thursday to create a limited economic union, an alliance hobbled by the absence of Ukraine, but one long pursued by President Vladimir of Russia to confirm his country of global economic force. He said, "Today we are creating a powerful, attractive center of economic development, a big regional market that unites more than 170 million people." Mr. Putin said during the ceremonies, he's underscored significant energy resources, workforce, and cultural heritage of the combined nations. While that may eventually prove to be the case, the alliance that comes into force will be pale imitation of the members first envisioned, an eastern version of the 28-member European Union.
Now, the trade deal that partly triggered the unrest in Ukraine has now been signed by Russia and the former Soviet states of Belarus and Kazakhstan. They'll now be part of a vast economic zone called the Eurasian Union. Moscow's been the driving force behind it. President Putin hopes the regional bloc will challenge the economic might of Europe, the US and China. Now, countries in the Eurasian Union have a combined population of more than 170 million people. Their gross domestic product, or GDP, equals about $2.7 trillion. The agreement will introduce the free movement of goods, services, capital and people. Moscow saw Ukraine as crucial to the treaty, and a decision by the former president, Yanukovych, to join the group sparked protests against him in November.
Thanks for the information, Crystal. Well, for our final little bit before we go, we're completing our circle and heading back to Australia, Sydney to be exact. There, a man from the Czech Republic of 39 years old was arrested for possession of 16 different bird eggs. These bird eggs were being smuggled without a permit, and since the man was smuggling them, he could face up to 10 years in prison and $160,000 in fines. Now, Australia is extremely strict about what they let in and out of the country due to the fragile ecosystems, so you have to be careful when bringing any animals or any life whatsoever in and out of the country. Well, I don't know about you guys, but smuggling really cracks my eggs. I'm gonna let you go now, but since you guys are such great fans, I'm gonna go ahead and smuggle one more pun in for you. From all of us here at Woodbridge Student News, have an excellent day.
Thanks, Gavin. And now we have a story about an Australian MP smuggling fake bombs and pipe bombs. Started.
And Australia, or I should say New Zealand, did no real marking. It's very strange.
Hi,